Mazuma TV back in the building, man. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma mob, man. I'm back in the building with some more boxing talk. All right, y'all. I hope everybody's having a blessed and productive day. I hope everything goes positive. I hope everything goes well. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody who getting up and going to get it early in the morning, man, like myself. You know what I'm saying? This is my reaction to Floyd Mayweather's interview that he just had on Fight Hype. Shout out to Fight Hype for the interview. I believe like the first clip was about like 18 minutes or something like that, something along those lines. So, you know, they definitely was chopping it up back and forth. You know what I mean? It reminded me back to when Floyd was active and he was consistently doing interviews with Fight Hype. It reminded me of when he was in the Rolls Royce and he was ordering McDonald's after he beat Manny Pacquiao and stuff like that. So it was dope to see. You know what I mean? He hasn't really been active with interviews, especially with Fight Hype, since he's been retired. So it's good to see him, and it's good to see that Floyd is in a good space in life. You know what I mean? He was definitely one of my favorite fighters growing up. However, you know, I've been very hesitant to watch Floyd Mayweather's interviews throughout the past few years, unless he was coming out and trash talking, because Floyd is funny as hell when it comes to the trash talk and stuff like that. But regarding like his most recent interviews, especially when he's supposed to speak on a certain topic, I've been real hesitant to watch him, because when you watch Floyd Mayweather interviews, it's pretty much you're gonna get the same thing every time. And that same thing every time is just making things about himself. You know what I mean? And I understand it's an interview, you know what I mean? And he's the one being interviewed, so of course he may prefer talking about himself rather than speaking on other people. I understand that, but you know, every time you do an interview, it's not necessarily about you. You know what I mean? And when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, they'll ask him about certain fighters. You know what I mean? They'll ask him about predictions. Like, for example, they'll say like, oh man, Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney seems like one of the biggest fights in boxing right now. What's your take on the fight? You know, used to collaborate with Gervonta Davis, used to promote him. What's your thoughts about both of them possibly fighting? And he'll be like, oh man, both of them guys, they're hell of a fighters. They're a hell of a fighter. Absolutely. Yeah. They both remind me of myself, because back in my day, you know, I had the speed, you know, I had the power, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, bro, what? Like, bro, that's not what we're talking about, bro. And then like he'll go on a complete tangent, and then he'll go from talking about that to talking about the smart investments he made and how he still has all his faculties and all the possessions that he has. And I'm like, bro, we heard this over and over and over again. Like, we know this, Floyd. We know this. We know that you good. We know that you not struggling to, you know what I mean? We know you not penny pinching out here. We know you not struggling to make ends meet. We know you not living check to check, bro. Like, we know this. Can you just simply answer, like, who you believe is the better fighter? Like, whatever the question's being asked, just answer it directly, please. You know what I mean? And he always finds a way to just make it about himself. He's extremely self-absorbed nowadays, you know what I mean? And this ain't no hate on Floyd, because like I said, Floyd one of my favorite fighters of all time. And growing up, that's all I really used to watch was his interviews and his highlight reels and stuff like that. So I'm real well versed on Floyd. Maybe I'm watching too much that I just know a lot about him. But like at the end of the day, it's like, bro, come on, man. Like, if we asking you about certain fighters, it's because we genuinely intrigued to know what your thoughts are. You know what I mean? Like, you've been on top of the game for 2+ decades. We want to know who you believe is the next, who's the next pay-per-view star. We want to know who you believe is the most skilled fighter. What do you see in terms of style matchups? Who do you see coming out on top? Who do you think is the cream of the crop? Like, this is stuff that we want to know, because we respect your boxing mind. We respect what you've done. And we know that you so experienced in the sport, you may give us some game that we not like privy to. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is. But going into his interview about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, he didn't say too much besides speaking on himself when you watch the interview. But he did say some interesting things. I think he threw a little shot at Errol Spence, saying that, you know, there's fighters out here that say that they deal with Al Heyman, but they don't deal with Floyd. But I'm going to let you guys know that if you're dealing with Al, you're dealing with Floyd. We're one. You know what I mean? He'll say something like that, then go on to say something that was completely contradictory and saying that he don't know what Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are getting paid. You know what I mean? But if you're just as involved in PBC as Al Heyman and y'all are one, then how don't you know the financial situation with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence? You know what I'm saying? I bet you Al Heyman knows, because he's actually behind the scenes making these deals happen. You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting. And then he also went on to speak about, you know, he didn't want to discredit Terence Crawford for his victory and stuff like that. He never really gave a prediction. He didn't really give too much about the fight. But, you know, when you read along the lines, you just listen to Floyd a little bit, you could tell that he was trying to insinuate that Errol Spence was a dehydrated fighter, that he was a drained fighter going into that fight with Terence Crawford, because he says that if he was in Errol Spence's team, which I still don't understand, because if you're the same as Al Heyman, then you should be a part of Errol's team. But regardless, he says that he would have Errol Spence at 168 pounds. You know what I mean? And I don't really agree with that as well. I think that Errol will be just fine at 154 pounds. I think he'll make the weight a lot easier. I just think that he may have stayed at 147 too long. Like, he's been complaining about it for a while. I do agree that he shouldn't be at 47 no more, but I think that 54 would be a good weight for Errol Spence to compete at. You know what I'm saying? So with him saying that he should be 2-3 weight classes above where he is at this current moment, that would just give the impression that he believes that Errol Spence was a drained fighter. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what he was trying to say about Terence Crawford's victory, that he fought a drained Errol Spence, but he didn't want to say it directly because he doesn't want to discredit him. You know what I mean? So that's the things that I picked up from the interview. I definitely don't think that Errol Spence should be at 160. I don't think he should be at 168 at this particular time, maybe towards the end of his career, depending on how long he boxes. But I think 154 will be a great weight for him. I think it won't take him long to, you know, acclimate to the weight division. You know what I mean? But I think 60, 68 is a big extreme, because if we're talking, especially if we're talking about super middleweight, how does he size up from a physical standpoint against a David Benavidez, against a David Morrell? You know what I mean? Them guys are boiling down from way higher weights, you know what I mean, than Errol Spence does. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. But besides that, you know, it's always good seeing Floyd. You know what I mean? It's always good seeing him and hearing his stuff. Even if he's talking about himself, it's kind of dope to see how much he's evolved since his pro debut. You know what I mean? How far he's came, and being from a ducked fighter to a pound-for-pound #1 fighter to becoming a pay-per-view star. He's definitely been in every scenario except losing. You know what I mean? He's been a part of every scenario that the game presents. So I'll tip my head off to Floyd for that. But that's just my take on the situation, man. What do y'all think about Floyd Mayweather's perspective on the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford situation? What do you think about him saying that Errol Spence should be at 160 to 168? What do y'all think about him and the Al Heyman comparisons and stuff like that? Just let me know what y'all guys think in the comments below. That's my take on the situation. This is Mazuma TV. Shout out to Mazuma Nation and the Mazuma Mob, and I'm out of here. Peace.